Welcome back to Hypercar Updates. It's been a while since I've posted one of these episodes, and so it's good to see the series return. Episode 10 of the series goes over the news from Hypercar and GTP from the month of January. The topics on this video include the leaked photos of the rear wing on the Peugeot 9X8 Hypercar, an epic first race completed for the IMSA GTP class in 2024, and are Acura Honda prioritizing Formula 1 over a potential hypercar effort? All those topics and so much more will be discussed on this episode of Hypercar Updates. So without further delay, let's get into this episode. Let's begin by taking a look at these leaked visuals of the rear wing on the Peugeot 9X8 Hypercar. Now, for those unaware, Peugeot is changing some things on their hypercar for the upcoming WEC in 2024. This includes a rear wing being added on to the 9X8 Hypercar. Now, of course, Peugeot hasn't officially revealed the updates including the rear wing to the 9X8 Hypercar, so these visuals are not officially confirmed, but are also leaked images. Visuals of this updated 9X8 version spread across social media during the end of December last year and early part of January. This footage seemingly depicted Peugeot Sport testing their 9X8 upgrades, including that rear wing, at the Paul Ricard circuit in southern France. Now, just a reminder, this track is the same circuit where Formula 1 held the French Grand Prix most recently in 2022, and a lot of manufacturers test their cars at this particular circuit. When looking at the car, this new updated version of the 9X8 remains very similar to the Peugeot design used in the 2022 and 2023 seasons of the World Endurance Championship. However, as we know, there are some changes to that 9X8 Hypercar, especially at the back of the car with that rear wing. Now, you might be wondering, how do we know that these photos and footage are real? Well, we can make a pretty good educated guess that they are, because soon after, Peugeot's social media accounts pretty much confirmed the footage to be true. I think these updates look pretty cool, and I think that adding on the rear wing was a good move for Peugeot going forward, and I hope the car will be competitive in 2024 and beyond. But of course, we're still awaiting that official confirmation and visuals of the 9X8 Hypercar. Just to let you know, this next segment contains spoilers for the Rolex 24 results. If you haven't seen the race yet, I suggest moving on to segment 3. The 2024 season for the GTP class has begun, and what a first race it was at Daytona. All 4 manufacturers in GTP were competitive, but the 2 car brands that stood out the most and battled for the overall victory were Cadillac and Porsche. The battle for the lead was mainly between the number 7 Porsche Penske and the number 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac from Action Express Racing. Both cars battled for the lead across the majority of the event, including some side-by-side actions such as Tom Blomqvist's Mika Hakkinen F1 styled move at the first braking zone of Daytona. But it really came down to the final hour of this race, when Nasr in the Porsche defended against Blomqvist in the Cadillac, squeezing every bit of power out of that 963 to propel him ahead of Blomqvist on every single lap. In the final few laps, he also tactically maneuvered around the slower traffic to perfection to ultimately increase the gap between the Cadillac and the Porsche, and this eventually led to the success for the Porsche Penske Motorsport crew, as Felipe Nasr crossed the line to win the Rolex 24. This delivered Porsche their 19th win overall, and Roger Penske's first since 1969. An awesome start to the season for the GTP class, and it's going to be great to see how this class progresses across the rest of the 2024 season. And by the way, I will be doing a full breakdown of the Porsche and Cadillac battle in a separate video coming soon. Let's switch gears from IMSA news to WEC news, as Istota Fraschini are ready for their debut in the World Endurance Championship. In late 2023, Istota Fraschini were confirmed to be a part of the Hypercar grid in 2024. This also means that the Italian Marque's Le Mans Hypercar, the Tipo 6 LMHC, will race alongside the likes of Porsche, Toyota, and Ferrari, for example, at the big 24 Hours of Le Mans, marking their debut at the classic French event. Isotta Fraschini's LMH was scheduled to complete the final homologation test in January. If they passed that, they would be set for a hypercar entry. And the good news is, they passed. The hypercar successfully returned from France where the final homologation took place. And now, Isotta Fraschini is ready to go racing in the hypercar category. Now, what's the future for the ARX-06 coming to the WEC? Is Honda/Acura prioritizing their Formula 1 project ahead of a potential hypercar project? This topic comes from a motorsport.com article where they basically described that a hypercar/Le Mans entry from Honda is not the priority. A while back, Honda restructured their motorsport divisions. HPD, or Honda Performance Development, combined with HRC, or Honda Racing Corporation of Japan, to create HRC US. This essentially meant that the ARX-06 could have a better opportunity at competing at the big 24 Hours of Le Mans and the WEC Hypercar class. However, according to this recent motorsport.com article, Honda is focusing the majority of their attention on Formula 1 rather than entering into the hypercar class. Honda is returning to Formula 1 as a fully fledged engine supplier in 2026, supplying powertrains to the Aston Martin Formula 1 team. Honda is heavily interested in these brand new Formula 1 regulations for 2026, and so Aston Martin has ditched Mercedes powertrains and gone for Honda in 2026 and beyond. And to be clear, if Honda are focusing their attention on F1 rather than the hypercar class and a Le Mans entry, this doesn't really affect their competition in the GTP class of IMSA, the place where the team Wayne Taylor Racing with Andretti runs 2 Acura LMDH prototypes. So these initial rumors of the new Honda Racing Corporation division leading the ARX-06 to a Le Mans and World Endurance Championship entry for 2025 seem to be more off the table than we initially thought. In other news, BMW Team WRT has officially confirmed who their drivers will be for the 2024 WEC Hypercar season. Belgian squad WRT Racing will bring 2 BMW M Hybrid V8 race cars to the center of the World Endurance Championship, thus returning the German manufacturer to fight for overall victories at the 24 Hours of Le Mans for the first time since 1999. WRT has now confirmed the 6 drivers that will pilot the M Hybrid V8s in 2024. In the number 15 BMW, it will be Dries Vanthoor, Raffaele Marciello, and Marco Wittmann. In the number 20 car, it will be Sheldon van der Linde, René Rast, and Robin Freins. All 6 of these drivers have quite the reputation in motorsport. Vanthoor and Marciello are very successful GT drivers across endurance racing. Marco Wittmann and Sheldon van der Linde are good racers as well and have been with the BMW racing program for quite some time. René Rast also has a lot of talent, and like Wittmann and Vanthoor, he's also a DTM champion. He's raced in Formula E and raced with Audi at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And then there's Robin Freins, who's won the LMP2 championship with WRT in the WEC. He's a race winner in Formula E and is already familiar with BMW, having raced in the Formula BMW Europe Championship in his early single-seater days. The fact is, all 6 of these drivers have experience and talent and should hopefully bring BMW success in the WEC hypercar class. Moving on to the subject of Proton Competition's GTP entry. And that Mustang sampling livery on that Porsche 963 is awesome, but while it's cool, it won't be on the car for every event. The sponsor Mustang Sampling, while having been a part of the IMSA DPI era with teams such as Action Express Racing and JDC Miller Motorsports, is the primary title sponsor on the Proton Competition Porsche 963 that competes in the IMSA GTP class. But this livery will only be on the car for the Michelin Endurance rounds. The black and gold livery is expected to only be on the car for the races of the Rolex 24, 12 Hours of Sebring, 6 Hours of the Glen, Battle of the Bricks, and Petit Le Mans. So unfortunately, this epic livery on the Proton Porsche will not be at events such as the Motocourse de Monterey at Laguna Seca. Proton Competition hasn't revealed what the livery will look like on their Porsche 963 for the smaller IMSA events across the season. So while this livery looks epic on Proton's Porsche 963, it won't be there for every event across the season. What happened to the Pescarolo 9X8? We haven't heard about this project in quite some time, so let's talk about what we know. Around February of 2023, the revived Pescarolo Sport name announced an interest in running a customer Peugeot 9X8, thus making a return to endurance racing. Although this was never officially confirmed by Peugeot Sport or the World Endurance Championship, for example. The likelihood would be that Pescarolo would run this customer Peugeot in the 2024 season and beyond, making it 3 9X8 hypercars on the grid. Although that never really came to fruition. Now, to be clear, this Pescarolo Sport is not the same brand which became successful in endurance racing in the early 2000s. That Pescarolo Sport was led by Henry Pescarolo himself. They became a very successful small French team and raced predominantly at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Their best result at Le Mans came in 2005, when the Courage C60 Judd Pescarolos qualified first and second overall ahead of the Audi R8s. They were competitive across the 05 race, but ultimately had to settle for second to the Audi R8 from Champions Racing. Pescarolo achieved 3 overall podiums at Le Mans, second twice in 2005 and 2006, and third once in 2007. And mind you, this was against the big manufacturers such as Audi and Peugeot. But of course, those results were from a totally different era of Pescarolo Sport. And while those wonderful achievements are in the company's history, the Pescarolo Sport today is different, and it's one where Henry Pescarolo is unfortunately not involved. It seems that financial issues are the main problem to why we haven't seen a Pescarolo return to Le Mans. I don't know if this customer entry from Pescarolo will ever happen, but I do know that the potential customer Peugeot 9X8 won't be on the grid for 2024. I think the earliest we could see it would be in 2025, but honestly, I'm skeptical of that happening. While a third Peugeot will not come for 2024, a third Ferrari, however, will, and the driver lineup for this third Ferrari 499P has now been officially confirmed. This customer Ferrari, badged as the number 83 car, is going to be run by AF Corse, but it's technically a customer entry. Earlier, it was confirmed that Polish racer Robert Kubica would be one of the drivers for this third Ferrari. And while this isn't an F1 car, this sure does fulfill every F1 fan's dream of seeing Kubica in a Ferrari car. Because before his horrific accident in 2011, Kubica was linked with a Ferrari F1 drive. The 2 other drivers that will join Kubica in this car have now been confirmed. They are Robert Schwartzman and Yifi Yi. Schwartzman has been a part of the Ferrari program for quite some time and has already driven the 499P at the Bahrain test at the end of the 2023 WEC. Meanwhile, Chinese racer Yifi Yi will jump ship from Porsche, joining Ferrari for 2024. This also means that he will leave his position as a driver for the Hertz Team Jota Porsche that he raced in 2023. Honestly, I think this lineup is really good. Kubica, Schwartzman, and Yi will hopefully bring that number 83 Ferrari to some good results in 2024, and maybe this car will even challenge the factory Ferraris of the number 50 and number 51. Now let's take a look at 2 questions from you, the viewers watching. First up, we got a question from Flat Out Alliance, who asks, which drivers would you like to see fill the final unconfirmed seats in the class? 3rd Cadillac driver, 3rd Isota driver, 2 seats at Proton Porsche. In general, who is someone who you would love to see drive in Hypercar in the near future? So let's quickly revisit the 4 open seats. We have the seat in the number 2 Cadillac, the seat in the number 11 Isota Fraschini, and the 2 seats in the number 99 Proton Porsche. So as far as I'm aware, Cadillac's going to be doing something a little different with their driver lineup. According to motorsport.com, they spoke with Laura Wantrip-Clauser, who said that they're going to have different drivers for different events. I'm hoping that one of the drivers for the number 2 Cadillac could be Gustavo Menezes. He and Peugeot recently parted ways, so he's a free agent, he's American, and he's a talented racer, so I think he could potentially be one of the drivers. I think Marco Bononomi could be a good driver for the number 11 Isotta Fraschini. He's got endurance racing experience, having raced with Audi at Le Mans, and has already been testing the Tipo 6 LMH Competizione. I think the 2 Proton seats could be filled by Alessio Piccarello and Romain Dumas. Both drivers raced for Proton Competition at the Rolex 24, and they were very quick. Both drivers have a lot of talent and experience, and I think they could make a very good team with Harry Tincknell in that number 99 Proton Porsche. The next question comes from Maverick9K, who asks, what is the likelihood, given past rumors and or leaks, that we could see the following manufacturers in WEC/IMSA using LMDH/LMH cars? This list includes Audi, Mercedes, McLaren, Dodge, Ford, and Mazda. They went on to say, and if there are more that I'm forgetting, what are some other possible manufacturers that could enter the top class of endurance racing? Well, I gotta be honest, unfortunately, I don't think that a lot of these manufacturers listed will be joining. Audi seems to be focusing their attention on Formula 1, Mercedes the same, and road car sales. McLaren could join in the near future. Out of all these manufacturers, I think they're the most likely to join Hypercar or GTP. As for Dodge, I think Maverick was referring to the rumor of the Peugeot 9X8 potentially being rebranded as a Dodge entry over in IMSA. Technically, that would be possible considering the Stellantis connections, but that rumor has been very quiet recently, and I don't think it's going to be happening in the near future. And as for Ford and Mazda, as much as I would love to see them both in top prototype endurance racing, especially Mazda considering their DPI days, I don't expect them to be joining the Hypercar or GTP class, unfortunately. One car brand that's not on this list that seems to be interested in these regulations is Alfa Romeo. The rumor of the Italian marque returning to Le Mans with a hypercar is kind of going back and forth at this point. Alfa was in the news recently considering that they were interested in either pursuing an F1 or WEC project post Sauber F1 days. Initially, plans of a hypercar program looked more on the table, considering that Alfa Romeo's F1 days seem to be over for now, and they look to turn their attention towards the World Endurance Championship. However, recent articles have indicated that Alfa Romeo is seemingly re-evaluating those plans of entering the WEC. So like I said before, an Alfa hypercar program could potentially happen in the near future, but the rumors of them joining the WEC still seem to be going back and forth. So that completes episode 10 of Hypercar Updates. Which of these 10 subjects did you find most interesting? As always, feel free to let me know all your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly suggest you do so, considering I make endurance racing content mainly on WEC and IMSA every single week. And if you want to see another video, check out the options on the screen. So for now, that's it from me. I'll see you all in the next video.